Alright, late night update. Pulled the seats out. They weren't mounted or nothing yet. Got another welding tank for welding gas. Finished up this, grinded up a little bit. Finished that patch panel there. Added one up here. That's part of the filler neck I was talking about, or gas tank system. I just put a patch there. Over here is alright. I'm gonna go. I didn't weld it fully here because I didn't want to leave marks on the outside. Like you can see, it was starting to do there. And then there's a couple tacks. But I'm gonna seam seal it once it's all done. There's a couple little holes in the head, like on the headboard. Gonna seam seal that. Got a plate there. I'll go around and show you some more. I finished in there. I think I said that. Here's some of my pieces for the sill. I didn't get to that yet. I got a grind in there, cleaned it up. I filled the holes like this on the other side. These ones yet. Basically just welded here and there. Gotta make a piece for that yet. I made a little cardboard template that kind of covers this bend in here. Make sure it's round so I can get it pretty close. So I can put that plate on this side. I didn't get around the column yet, or around the tunnel, because I don't know where the trainee is going to end up yet. I might even have to cut the floor in the center here a little bit. I'm not sure. Probably going to put a plate here, or here, I'm not sure, and then just drill out that hole. Not quite sure yet. It is a little soft there, and I just want to stiffen it all up. But we're getting there. I'm just gotta keep going. I'll show you when I finish. And then tomorrow I'm probably gonna hopefully get all that shit done. And then I want to make the new front mounts to hold up the fenders. Because it still moves a little bit. And then I ordered the flex plate. That should be here pretty soon. I got it from Summit, and they usually 2-day shipping for free for me. And I sent out the computer this morning, so there's two big pieces of the puzzle that we're working on here, and then once we get the floor done, I'll mount the seats, and we'll go from there. I gotta build a manifold, you know the whole deal. We're not quite there yet. I ordered a adapter to go from the Ford brake hose to the S10 hardline, so I can get the rear brake going. I did a lot of welding. It's the next day. See, got the seats out. That's in. I showed you that sill, that hole there. Got over here. The gaps I'm just gonna seam seal. Back there. Hold on. Yeah, those gaps look bigger than they are, but they'll be alright. I'm gonna seam seal the whole edges all the way around it up here. That's fine. And I started test fitting the radiator, but I don't think it's gonna work. It's too tall. It sits about here, and I cut a little piece out of the inside of the hood, like a support, and it got us close, but not there. I got the front end. I put those little angle irons in there. If anything, if I have to ever take it off, I'll cut it. But the original bracket I started making up, it's like this square bracket with a nut welded on the inside, so you could service it. Would take up a lot of room for my radiator, and you can see there's not much room to play with because I still have to figure out a fan situation too. So I took a little bit of measurements. So I'm gonna try and find a rad that'll work for me. And hopefully I'll have them both on the same side here, so I'll just punch a hole here and wrap the upper hose around. I could always spin that. It's just a press fitting in there, and then I can punch a hole down here, notch out the back side, shove the hose on. Not a problem. So that's my idea. I'll see what's available to me. I'm trying to figure out this mess of brake lines. I have no idea how they run. I got 2 front wheel brake lines and 2 ports on this proportioning valve, and then there's a rear brake line there. So I'm not too sure how this is going to work. There are 3 lines. I'm sure I could tee the front ones. But there are 3 lines, 2 holes, 2 different sizes. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work yet. Okay, we have an empty box, and what was in it was the flex plate, spacer, and new bolts, new converter flex plate bolts. So that can only mean one thing, that I'm trying to get the transmission in right now. And I'll show you what I came up with. This 480E is so damn heavy that I can't get a jack underneath it. The pan's not flat, and I can't even level it. And the tranny jack I have, I'll show you, sits really, really high. Actually, it's a friend's tranny jack, and it just a regular floor jack. And the truck's pretty high off the ground right now, but from the pan to the top of the flange, I had to weasel it underneath here. I had to find the highest point of the frame that has like an indentation, and then slide it in. And then I picked each end up and shoved some wood underneath it, and then that still wasn't doing it, and I couldn't get it up anymore, and then it fell off. I started cursing, so I wrapped a sling around it, and I'm using the engine hoist. So I'm using the hoist to pick it up. I used the seat belt around the tranny, picked it up, and then I used another floor jack and just tilted it to get the transmission level, and then I was able to sneak the tranny jack underneath the transmission, and now I have it ratchet strapped to the tranny jack, and that's what's supporting it. So now I'm going to attempt to meet the tranny to the motor. Okay, got the hoist all wrapped up, and I have a tranny in place. It's all bolted up. Converter bolts are not tight, but they're all in there. We have a couple degrees. I think it's supposed to be 3, 4, whatever. Whatever it ends up, it'll be fine as long as it's got some tilt leaning back. Got to make a tranny cross member tomorrow, but I can tell you that I was going to do it tonight, but that tranny kicked my ass, and I don't want to play with it no more. And man, was that rough. So I mocked up the cross member. I have an idea of what I'm going to do. Man, was that ever rough. And once that's in there, I think the drive shaft angles looks fine. I have a shaft over there I'm going to mock up. It is a GM shaft, so I don't think I'll be lucky enough that it'll plug in. The yoke looks way too small, and I don't think the length will be anywhere near what I need. I just want to pretend, make sure it's not going to hit anything. I do have the rear sitting on jack stands, so it's not drooped or nothing, so this will be like it's at ride height. And the mount that's on this tranny is pretty beat, so I'm going to have to figure out another mount. Maybe I'll use a hockey puck or something. Either that or I'll use that one and then just try and find a new one eventually of that. But I have an idea of how I'm going to do the cross member, and now I can start mocking up an exhaust. I don't think that'll be today or tomorrow, but I want to get the brakes functioning for one. Fuel plumbed to the motor. I have that extra S10 gas tank, but I don't know if I'll have room under here now, so I might just sit in bed for now and then cover it later, or maybe I'll figure out some other kind of system I want to run. But as soon as the computer's sent out, and it should be on its way back any day now, I should have it next week, early next week, or maybe even Saturday. And today's Wednesday, so I might have it Saturday, or I'll have it Monday, Tuesday next week. But it'll be soon, and then I gotta start the wiring for the transmission and play with some other wires on the harness, but it should be straightforward. I want to get this motor running in the truck. Radiator, I have the stock Studebaker one in the bed of my truck. I'm going to stop at a local rad shop. I know a guy who works there. I'm going to see if they can't re-core that radiator. If it's not going to break the bank, I will be using the Studebaker radiator, or Studebaker style, because it fits in between the frame rails. And most of all these posts, it used to sit in the center here, but it'll sit in front of it now. And then there's a center red hose that will go here, and the bottom red hose will come up in that way. And I think that would be a much better fit. This one's much wider. I think I can run it. I would notch the frame here and here, and just give it a channel that the radiator would set in. And then it's got these little pieces at the bottom that I could drill a hole that it will sit in so it won't wiggle too much. The only problem with that is the upper hose comes out on this side, and then I would have to drill through here for the hose, so the hose would come up this way. The rattle sit here, it'll be really tight to the front here, and I could turn this, yeah, that hose would be here, or I could run it back around the rad in that way, maybe an up and over kind of system. I'd rather not have to do that, but I think the Studebaker rad would be much better to use. Plus it'll look cooler in there too. The cap's at the center too. This doesn't have a cap, so I'd have to put one in line. Just a pain in the ass, no matter which way you look at it.